As someone who has never played Advance Wars until recently, I never understood why the fanbase was so vocal on getting a sequel. I mean, back then when anyone mentioned Advance Wars, I would be like, oh yeah, that assist trophy in Smash. Thanks to the 3DS Ambassador program, owners of the 3DS before the huge prize drop received several NES and Game Boy Advance games, and Advance Wars happened to be one of them. A very similar game to Advance Wars is Fire Emblem, which recently became one of Nintendo's staple IPs with new yearly installments since the release of Fire Emblem Awakening. It's so hard to believe that the series was potentially going to be abandoned by Nintendo due to the poor sales of previous games in the series. But did you know that Intelligent Systems, the developer of the Fire Emblem franchise, made another strategy game called Advance Wars? Yup, it's the game that I talked about in the beginning of the video. Advance Wars has actually been around for a while. There were several installments in the series dating back to the NES, but didn't arrive outside Japan until 2001 with Advance Wars on the Game Boy Advance. We eventually got a sequel on the DS, but unfortunately due to lackluster sales, we haven't seen another game in the series since. With the success of Fire Emblem on the 3DS, many fans were hoping that Intelligent Systems were going to replicate the same successful revival that Fire Emblem got for the Advance Wars series. Fast forward, the Fire Emblem series is at its peak. Meanwhile, Advance Wars has been sadly neglected. But, Nintendo's new hybrid system, the Nintendo Switch, seems like the perfect console for the revival of Advance Wars. So wouldn't it be a good idea if Advance Wars was on the Switch? What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? The name's Ace and welcome to a series I like to call Why Insert Game Title is a Good Idea, where I explain why a game on a Nintendo console is a good idea. It's been nearly 10 years since the last Advance Wars game, while its cousin, Fire Emblem, gets sequel after sequel. It's time to change that. If you don't know what Advance Wars is, it's a turn-based strategy RPG where you play as a commander and you control army units. Similar to Fire Emblem, Advance Wars uses the same grid system to move around and strategically attack foes. Combat is based on the strengths and weaknesses of your units. Long-range units, well, have long range, but are extremely vulnerable to up-close attacks. Submarines can only target other water units, and anti-air units counter units in the air. Furthermore, you don't have to destroy every enemy unit. Instead, you can capture all of your opponent's towers. There are also commanding officers you can choose from to lead your units. They each have their own special perks. From boosting the power of naval units to increasing your unit's defenses, there are several commanding officers you can choose from. Besides the fact that there are thousands of vocal Nintendo enthusiasts demanding a sequel for the series, there are a couple other reasons on why Advance Wars on the Switch is a good idea. The first reason being is the fact that it's been 8 years since the last Advance Wars game. That's a lot of time for the developers to think of new ideas such as a compelling story which other entries in the series have lacked. Also, new commanding officers and units with different strengths and weaknesses are most likely going to be added in the sequel. The second reason why Advance Wars on the Switch is a good idea is because of the Switch's detachable Joy-Cons. The devs can take advantage of the Switch's ability of detachable Joy-Cons to allow for easy and convenient player versus player battles. Players can detach the Joy-Cons and share the screen. We can't also forget about online multiplayer. It's 2017. I would be surprised if we don't get at least some form of online multiplayer. Finally, the last reason is the developers can expand on the map creator that was already in previous installments. Creating maps and sharing them to the world via Wi-Fi, similarly to Mario Maker, will allow for interesting strategies by players and increase the longevity of the game. Well, ladies and gents, those are my reasons on why Advance Wars for the Switch is a good idea. Hopefully this series can have the same revival on the Switch similar to Fire Emblem on the 3DS. Comment down any reasons on why you think Advance Wars on the Switch is a good idea. Let me know if there's any other games that would be a good idea on the Switch. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. This is Ace and have a stellar day.